أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Okay, I hope رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Brothers and sisters, you are all welcome once again to our super intensive Nahw class. We are in our day number 8. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Okay, so let's give another 2-3 minutes for others joined, or I logged on a little bit late, right? So Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Let's give 2 minutes to others for others probably to join. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها وأنت على كل شيء قدير. Alhamdulillah, brothers and sisters, Alhamdulillah, we are here once again for our 8th day of our learning process. I will share my screen with you just in a moment for us to begin our discussion. But before I do that, today's lesson is more of a continuation, of course. I'd like to share this very important information with regards to Nahw. Majorly, we have actually discussed all the necessary things to know. All what we are doing is put in the supplementary concepts. Therefore, I will take you back again, and I reiterate the fact that understanding the structure, understanding where you are with the learning process is very important for us to grasp this particular subject of Nahw. We said the structure of Nahw is word, fragments, and sentences. You realize that we have discussed all kinds of words, the 3 kinds of words. We have discussed all the 5 kinds of fragments. We have discussed all the 2 types of sentences. So all we are doing now is, okay, what are the other things that supplement this particular, you know, the 3 levels, words, fragments, sentences. And so we discussed a lot of things yesterday, 2 days ago. And most importantly, what we discussed with regards to Jumla Fa'liyya, and that is Mabni al-Majhul. So yesterday we learned something about Mabni al-Majhul, as well as some things about what I wanted to mention is istifham, right? Now let's share this very important information about istifham. When we learn istifham, we realize that apart from the 2 harfs of istifham, Hamza and Hal, you realize that the mata, aina, the mata, the aina, the kaifa, and then the what again? Mada. These questions all ask about the detail in Jumla Fi'liyya. You remember that we mentioned that whenever you say or you see a sentence or an ayah with Jumla Fi'liyya, the fi'l and fa'il are critical. But if there is maf'ul, then the maf'ul should be answering the questions of what? Mata, aina, kaifa, limadha, mada. Isn't it? Right? So the mata speaks about the when. The aina speaks about the where. The limadha speaks about the how, the why. The kaifa speaks about the how, and then the mother speaks about the what. So you see now you can link istifham and maf'ul, because definitely if an action happens, the first thing any other person coming to check about the action is to say what, to ask questions about the action, or want to know about the question, or sorry, about the action. All he would have to ask is about these 5. About the place, the time, the what, the why, the who, the how, or the how badly. So you realize how we now interlink the language, right? Question tags feed into maf'ul bihi. If you come and something happens, you will have to ask what happened, how did it happen, why did it happen? Now all these questions answer the maf'ul bihi. So understanding the question tag is not a separate thing, but it also still has to do with the maf'ul bihi. And that is why we use the Jumla Fi'liyya that came with it. And we said, for instance, Katabat Zainabu Kitaban. So when we say Katabat Zainabu Kitaban, all the questions came. Hal Katabat Zainabu Kitaban. And we say that it does not really affect the sentence, but it asks the question, makes it question, right? Or there are question tags. Hal Katabat Zainabu Kitaban. Then the question of when comes. Mata Katabat Zainabu Kitaban. And then the question of when. Aina sorry, mata is asking about when, and then aina, where. Aina katabat Zainab kitaban. And then the question of why. Limada katabat Zainab kitaban. And then comes the question of limada, so mata, kaifa. How did she write? Kaifa katabat Zainab kitaban. And then mada katabat Zainab. Actually, even from the beginning, what did she write? So I'm just trying to put this together for you so that you understand that there are so many things. This one is also considered a marker. You know, we will be discussing a lot about these markers that will assist us really link up concepts of this language, Arabic, and the language of Al-Quran. One of the markers that will allow you know the maf'ul is that it always answers these 5 questions, right? It gives answers to these 5 questions. So even if you don't see the harakat in the sentence or in the ayah, but then you have an idea of what happened, or the sentence, you have an idea of the meaning, and then you ask which one is the maf'ul bihi. If there is no wasali, that means there is no harakat. I mean, how do we just go to the question, okay, which one is answering the where, how, when, what, who? That should be the maf'ul bihi. It has nothing to do with the action itself and the one who did the action, but the resulting details. So you see, and that's how we link istifham and maf'ul bihi. We also spoke about qad and how to use it. Said qad can be used to have 2 meanings, and it always precedes a jumla. Okay, it can be jumla fi'liya. So the fi'l in front of it can be madi or mudari. Okay, now if it is madi, it certainly means certainly, right? But if it is mudari, then it can mean always or might. Very important information there. And then we also learned all about the negative or the negation harfs, right? We learned about the ma, the lam, the lan, and la, or ma lam, lan, la, ma lam, law, ma lam, and lan, ma la, lam, lan. We learned about them and how some of them affect the fi'l in front of them. Sorry, some of them do job, let's say. They do job. Others do not do job. They just indicate a negation. And one of them indicates refutation, and that is ma, and that is the most powerful of all the negation harfs. All these things, brothers and sisters, put together, you can see that they don't go above or out of the structure we spoke about. It's about kalima, either ism fi'l harf. It's about fragment, either idafa, mawsuf, sifa, jar wa majrur, ism inna and its ism, and then ism al-ishara and mushar ilay, as well as the last strata, which is jumla, either ismiya or fi'liya. Okay. One very, very important clue. If a jumla is ismiya or fi'liya, it's known, starting with the fi'l or starting with an ism. But if it starts with any other thing apart from ism or fi'l, of course, that is harf. There's no any other thing, actually, it's harf. If it starts with a harf, don't worry, just go after the harf. Just move after the harf and see what word is there. You will realize what kind of sentence actually is. If it's an ism, then it is ismiya. If it's a fi'l, then it's fi'liya. So it's easy really to detect the 2 different kinds of ism, of jumla in the language. Okay, so that's just by way of recapping where we are so far. Today, we're going to take a very interesting topic, and that is, let me share my screen with you. Okay, before I even do that, I like doing this so that I'll give you an idea, get it in your mind, and then probably when I start explaining, you see what may be new of an idea or new method that I have. We're going to discuss Kana and its or her sisters. Kana and her sisters is a very interesting concept in that Kana and its sisters, wherever you see Kana and all its sisters, it has sisters also, so like Inna, Kana, Bata, Sara, Asbaha, Adha, Amsa, Laysa, Zolla, Madama, these are all the sisters. There are a lot of sisters. But we're going to concentrate on very few among them, right? Particularly Kana and Laysa. Kana and its sisters, let me just give you this very good clue. Now, what it means is that anytime you see Kana, and all its conjugation, of course, Kana and its conjugation, Kana is actually a fi'l, but it's not complete fi'l. So we call it fi'l naqis. Naqis. Why is it naqis? Naqis means a deficient fi'l. How can a fi'l be deficient? Yes, you get it. Your guess is as good as mine. It is deficient because it does not have a file. Oh, really? Kana doesn't have a file. So Kana and its sisters, they are called deficient fi'ls. So deficient fi'l, they can be Madi, they can be Mudari, and they can be Amr. Only Laysa can only be in Madi stages. Okay? Madi, Mudari, Amr of Kana, they are all labeled as Naqis, meaning no file. Okay, so no file, then what? Fi'l without file, it has an ism. So it's fa'il, which that is supposed to be fa'il. We don't call it fa'il, we say ism kana. So that's why it is called naqis. A lot of us, I'm sure, have been doing the i'rab a lot of the time. Fi'l madi naqis, fi'l mudari naqis, fi'l amr naqis. But this naqis thing, why is it naqis? Is because it does not have a fa'il. And that is why, even though it's called a fi'il, but its jumla is known as jumla ismiya. Note, it is a fi'il, but naqis. Why? Because it doesn't have a fa'il. Okay, good. It has an ism. But do you call that jumla fi'liya? No, you call it jumla ismiya. Why? Because you will have mubtada khabar. Right? The ism that is attached to the kana become the ism of kana. Both of them become the mubtada, the kana and its ism. And then the khabar is also explaining or giving the detail or raising the curiosity raised by the mubtada. Right? So Kana and its sisters are what we are going to discuss. And very important thing also that I need to share about Kana and its sisters is that when we have Kana and the ism that comes after it, both of them constitute the mubtada bucket. Okay? And we say there is no fa'il, but there is ism and its khabar. But the most important thing about it is that it makes the mubtada rafa, or it maintains. We don't say it makes it, because already mubtada is always rafa. So it maintains the rafa of mubtada, we say, and then it makes the khabar, which hitherto supposed to be rafa. Mubtada khabar are always rafa status, don't forget. But then in this case, kana will make the khabar nasb. So it maintains the rafa of mubtada, and it makes the khabar nasb. Hitherto we say yarfa'ul mubtada. Actually, every mubtada is marfu. Don't you think that we should say it maintains the rafa of mubtada? Because without the kana, mubtada is already marfu. So rafa is maintained. In case of inna and its sisters, the inna makes the mubtada nasb, and it maintains the khabar status. But in case of kana, it makes only the khabar nasb. So we say kana Allahu ghafuran. See, kana Allahu. It's the kana that caused the ghafur to be run. So we say Allahu, lafz al-jalala, is the ism of kana, and ghafuran is the khabar of kana. So this is the concept of kana and its sisters. And we also look at ism al-mawsul, a relative pronoun. We know we have learned about them. What did we say about them? That they are isms, that they are asma, they are non-flexible, and they are a lot of things about them, right? But now we are going to learn how they go, how we get them in sentences, and how they are conjugated, both grammatically and also in the language. Okay? And then we'll look at some glossaries about man and ma, inshallah. Okay. So I will go for a short break and come back. Don't move away from the link. This one is going to be a very short one, inshallah. Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wabihi nasta'in. Let's quickly see the. Okay, let me share my screen now. Can you see my screen, please? Okay, so we are going to look at kana wa akhwatuha. That's kana and her sisters, relative pronouns, small mousula, and then other glossaries for ma and man. You remember man and ma, you know, they have a lot of interesting meanings, and inshallah we'll look at them. Now, kana and her sisters or its sisters, kana or akhwatuha, these are their sisters. Kana, bata, sara, laysa, asbaha, adha, amsa, zalla, ma zala, madama. All these ones are the sisters. But we're going to concentrate on kana and maybe laysa, most importantly, because it's a very interesting sister here. It doesn't have mudari. All of them, because they are fails, you can put them in the mudari and then and madi, of course, zala here and then dama. Okay, but laysa is only in madi, so we'll see how it all goes, inshallah. Kana wa akhwatuha. Now, following are three af'als from the list of incomplete verbs. Now, note this statement: incomplete verbs. You see how it's noted here by our ustaz? The book says it's incomplete. Okay, what do we say? Why did we say it's incomplete? I've just explained it before we start, right? Now, it is incomplete because it has no fa'il. لكل فعل فاعل إلا كان وأخواتها. Okay, conjugations are available, of course, at the end of the chapter. We will check and see if there is. كان يكون, to be. أصبح يصبح, to become. ليس, is or are not, right? Laysa, you can see that laysa is only in madi. It is not in mudari. So you can say asbaha yusbihu, asbaha yusbihu, and kana yakunu. Okay, madi mudari. Remember, kana and her sisters are called al-af'al naqisa, the incomplete verbs. I have explained why incomplete. Constructs as they are also constructed as jumla fi'liya, but grammatically labeled as ismiya. Now I want you to note this. It's very important. Okay, the construct is fi'liya, but grammatically it is what? Ismiya, which means when you come to do the i'rab, you wouldn't say there is a fa'il, but you will say there is mubtada khabar, ismu kana and khabar kana. Okay, why is the construct fi'liya? But we say that the kana and its sisters are fi'l. Okay, they are all af'als. Okay, and so we say that yes, they are af'als, but they are af'al naqisa. The doer is always marfu', yes, and the detail is mansub. That's what I explained earlier. So the doer, now note, it's called doer here in quotes, and done to here or detail also in quotes, because they are doer in the construct that kana is a fi'l. But grammatically, we don't say it's a doer, but we say the ism of kana, or the khabar of kana. We don't say the maf'ul bihi, for instance, of kana, right? Very good. But you can see that this rafa is related to the doer. All doers are nasb, and all maf'ul bihi are also what? Nasb. So you see how the fa'il maf'ul bihi also plays out here in the case of kana and its sisters, because kana has a very interesting feature in that it's a fi'l, but it deals with isms. Fi'l that deals with isms, and it's not complete fi'l because it is not having a fa'il, but it has an ism. And that ism, which is supposed to be its fa'il, is known as its ism. We don't call it its fa'il. That's the only difference. Okay. Example, Fatima is a student. Okay, Fatima. Fatima keeps on coming. No? Of course, been to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Fatima is a student. So Fatima to talibatun. Fatima to talibatun. Now, kanat Fatima to talibatan. Now, note what's happened here. Kanat. The moment we say kanat, of course, don't mind this tar. This tar is just for Fatima. Okay. Kanat Fatima to talibatan. So this is still in Rafa. Haven't you seen it? So this mubtada, this khabar. So mubtada khabar. Mubtada khabar. Fatima talibatun. Mubtada marfu. Taliba khabar marfu. Kanat is here now made the taliba nasb. That's the thing here. So Fatima becomes, we say, so she was. Fatima becomes a student, we say tusbihu. So she becomes, this is the mudari. Or takunu. We can also here say takunu Fatima to talibatan. Fatima was, okay, or is becoming, okay, a student. So tusbihu means to become. Laysat Fatima to talibatan. So you can say that all the khabar is in nasb status, right? So Fatima to is not. Laysa. That's the meaning of laysa. It's all in your books. You can see the meanings. The doer of kana is not. Sorry, is the outside doer. Fatima. So in this case, if this is the fi'l, this is the outside doer. Just like any other jumla fi'liya. The outside doer is after the fi'l, yes, because this is the fi'l, this is the fi'l, this is the fi'l, and this is the outside doer. That's what we said, right? The two conditions of an outside doer is to ensure that it is after the fi'l, number one, and it is in rafa status. So it's completely, follows the rule, right? The fi'l should be conjugated in either here or huwa form. The same thing. You remember, if there is outside doer, then the fi'l should be in the huwa or here form. No problem. And the detail student is mansub. Good. Let's look at some Quranic gem. When kana is used with the word Allah, it means was and has always been and always been. Now note, kana means was here. Fatima was a student, right? But in Quran, because this is language of Quran, whenever kana comes, we don't translate it as was. We translate it as was and has always been and will always be, or will always be, right? That's why this is very important information. Good. Let's look at kana with the harfs. Because we said kana is a fail, definitely then all the harfs of nasb and harfs of jazm, should apply because it's a fail, isn't it? So this is very important. So let's look at how it is here. We say since they are all the kana and its sisters, they are all fails, then they can also be used with the harfs that we learned. What are the harfs? Who can remember them? The harfs that go into fail. Don't forget, into fail. There are harfs for ism, peculiar to isms, and the harfs for fails. The harfs for fails are the harfs of nasb or al-huruf al-nasiba lil mudari and huruf al-jazima lil mudari. The huruf al-nasiba lil mudari are lan, izan, kay, likali. Okay? And then the huruf al-jazima lil mudari are illam, lamma, wal, fal, and li. Okay? Good. So the same harfs can also apply to kana and its sisters. This is what it says here. Now let's look at here. Sayadrusu hatta yusbiha. No, now note. Sayadrusu hatta yusbiha musliman. Note. So hatta yusbiha. So this hatta is the one that coded is supposed to be by either two is supposed to be yusbihu. Where is the dua? Huwa is inside. So the ism of yusbihu, ism of yusbihu, we don't see the dua, we don't see the file. The ism of yusbihu is huwa, and musliman is the khabar. Hatta is harf nasibat al-mudara. It makes the asbaha or yusbihu in this case nasb. So it makes this light. You remember asbaha is one of the kana and its sisters. Okay. So if kana was here, it will be yakuna fil mudara. Why mudara? This hatta, Mr. Hatta here, it's always a harf that goes into fi'il mudara. Okay. Another one here, of course, the meaning of it is he will study until he becomes. He becomes until hatta he becomes So he is the ism of Asbaha. Musliman is the khabar. Lan yakunu, lan, you can see harf lan also going into yakun. Yakun is one of the kana and his sisters, and so lan is possible for lan to go in there. Are you saying the volume is low? Okay, let me do something quickly here. Okay, this is the highest I can go, right? Okay, I hope you can all hear me clear. Okay, okay, alhamdulillah. Okay. Yes, in fact, the TL should be taking the, not only Khalifa, you are the most talkative of all. And as well, those who stay and concentrate, right? Thank you for that. Okay, so let's go back to our page. I hope you can see the screen clear and you can hear me also. So I think, Osman, you need to adjust your volume probably. Okay. Else I should be shouting more than this. Okay. Okay, li nakuna. Okay, sorry, li nakun. Don't forget, it's not li nakuna, it's li nakun. Of course, it can also be li nakuna if the li is for likay. So li can be for likay, and it can be also for li. Okay, don't forget that. So li can be for lightest and it can be for lights. And li also, when it is with an ism, is harf jar. Don't forget that. So it's a very, very important harf here. Linakun. So this is harf of lightest. So it makes the fi'l mudari here lightest. It makes it majzoom, right? So that's what we are saying here. So li is harf of lightest. Nakun is fi'l mudari. So fi'l madi, sorry, fi'l mudari naqis, and the ism of nakun is nahnu. And then mudarisin becomes the khabar of nakun. Okay. Idan is one of the harfs of nasb. Idan takuna. Normally it should have been takunani. So the noon is dropped because of the harf of light. Light and lightest, they drop the noon, or they make it light or less lightest. Don't forget that. So takuna. So the ism of takuna is antuma. Antuma takuna. Okay. And then the khabar of khabar of takuna is what? Musrifina, in this case, mansub with aini. Sorry, musafiraini, not musrifaini. Musafiraini. The aini is the sign of nasb here. And then in tusbihi talibatan yusbih karimun talib. So in is half of lightest. It makes the fi'l mudari here lightest by dropping of the noon. Hitherto, this would have been tusbihina anti. Okay? Tusbihina. And the ism of tusbihina is anti. And then khabar of tusbihina is talibatan. Okay? And in, we said, is a harf that always brings into question, or it brings into focus. It works on two fi'ls. This is the first fi'l, and this is the second fi'l. And this, we said, is what? Jumla shartiyya. This is fi'l shart, and this is the jawab ash-shart. Don't forget the conditional statements. Anytime we see in, and anytime we see man, and anytime we see ma, we spoke about them. These are the harfs that are used for condition. In, ma, and man. Okay? Don't forget that. Of course, condition can also be without these three, and that is condition that is used with fi'l amr. When then, in that case, we have fi'l amr and jaza'ul amr. Okay? So this is the conditional statement, and it says in tusbihi, the ism of tusbih is anti, and then the khabar is talibatan. Another one here, yusbihu. So the yusbihu is, sorry, yusbih is also lightest because of the in, but it is still kana and its sisters. And the ism of yusbih is kareem because it's here, it's outside. Of course, the ism can be outside and can be inside. So in this case, it's outside, and then taliban is the khabar of yusbih. Okay. And then ma is also here, going into the fi'l here. In this case, it is fi'l madi. So ma kanu, okay, ma kanu This ma, okay, is half of lightest. So it makes this lightest by dropping of the noon. Kanu hum. Okay, so the ism of kanu is hum, and then the khabar is muslimina, right? Lam is also one of the lightest harfs. It causes the yakunu to be yakununa to be yakunu, and the ism of yakunu is what? Is hum. Don't say wow, please. Don't say wow. In this case, we are saying hum. We are being more specific now. It is clearer for us to say hum than to say wow. It's hum, okay? And then the khabar is muslimina. So these are some of the examples of how harfs can be used with kana and its sisters. Of course, because they are fi'ls, all the roof that go into fi'l can also or should also go onto them. These are some of the examples from the Quran. Lam yakun min as-sajidin. So lam yakun. The yakun here being silent is caused by lam. Okay? And yakun is fi'l mudari'. Don't forget naqis. Fi'l mudari' naqis. And the ism of yakun is huwa. So yakun. You remember the ya huwa, ta anta. You remember the ya hu. So ya is dealing about huwa, huma, hum. Don't forget that. It's all about the third person. Okay? When you revise, you get this particular tip, and then you hold it, and it helps a lot. So ya is huwa, yakun, huwa. So the huwa is the ism of yakun, and then min as-sajidin is jar wa majrur muta'alliq bi khabar. So it is MBK, right? Muta'alliq bi khabar yakun. Okay. Laysa. So is half istifham. Laysa is one of the sisters of kana and his sisters, but laysa can always be in madi for your information. Okay. And then lafz al-jalala, Allahu is the ism of laysa. And then bi ahkam al-hakimin, the whole of this jar wa majrur mudaf ilayhi is fi mahal nasb. Okay, muta'alliqun or muta'alliqun bi al-khabar. Okay, so that is for laysa. Waliyakun, sorry, waliyakuna. You see this li is harf of light because it makes the fi'l mudari' light. Okay, and then the ism of yakun is huwa. Sorry, yakuna is huwa. The ism of yakuna is huwa, and then min al-muqinina is jar wa majrur muta'alliqun bi khabar yakun. Okay. And then al-haqqu min rabbika fala takun, la takun. So la nahiya. You remember? Okay. La nahiya. This one makes the fi'l mudari here lightest, and the dua or the ism of takun here is anta. Takun. You see the ta is for anta. Okay. Min al-mumtarin is jar majrur MBK. Kulna ya naru kuni. Kuni bardan. Kuni anti. So kuni anti. Okay. Please don't say naru is the ism of kuni. Don't say that. Kuni is anti. The dua here or the ism of kuni is what? Anti. Okay. Don't say ya also. Say anti. And then bardan is the khabar. Wa salaman is ma'tuf. And then ala Ibrahim. Ma jar majrur Ibrahim is partly flexible. Don't forget that. Okay. Wallahu rabbina. Sorry. Wallahi rabbina ma kunna. Ma half of lightest. Don't forget. Half of lightest. Kun is the fi'l madi. Fi'l madi naqis. And then na is the dua here, or the ism in this case, ism of kunna, of ism of kun in this case. And then the khabar of kun is mushrikeen. Okay. These are some examples only. Now let's look at kana grammatically. The grammar of kana. When grammatically analyzing kana sentence, they are all considered what? Ismiya. Don't forget. A jumla ismiya has three parts. Mubtada, khabar, and MBK. Okay. In a kana sentence, the doer of kana is not called fa'il. It is called ism kana. Okay. We say ism kana. We don't say fa'il kana. No. Say ism kana. Okay. Ism kana is always in rafa status, so it is marfu. Okay, kana and its ism are the mubtada. So the whole kana and the ism become the mubtada. The detail of kana is not called maf'ul. It is called the khabar of kana. Okay, the khabar of kana should also be in nasb status, so it is mansub. The muta'alliq bi khabar rules are the same, either zarf or jar majrur. You remember we mentioned that the special mudafs and its mudaf ilayhi and jar majrur, these are the two things that causes or that are considered MBK. But when we come to MBF, it's only jar majrur. It's only jar majrur that can be MBF, right? Don't forget that. But zarf, when we say zarf, please don't forget, for some of you who know the zarf and mazruf, zarf is either zarf zaman or makan. These are the special mudafs that we spoke about, like fawqa, bayna, tahta, amama, qaddama, and so on. Okay? Good. Let's look at some examples here quickly before we go on break. Muhammad is an imam. Muhammadun imamun fil masjid. Muhammadun imamun fil masjid. Muhammadun imamun fil masjid. So you can see Rafa, and you can see jar. And you know what caused this one? The jar. Why is this one in Rafa status? All these things you need to know before even you do an analysis. You know, you can't have a fail with Dhamma. Sorry, with Dhamma tani. You can't have a fail with Dhamma tani, so it's an ism. You can't have a fail with the Dhamma tani, so it's an ism. This guy here, the moment you see it, you know he has a job to do. And to make sure that this guy is made jar. This word is an ism because of alif and lam. It cannot be a fail, and it cannot also be a harf. These markers need to be noted. So when before you even do the i'rab, you know there are ism, harf, ism. Okay, ism, harf, and then ism. So it's jumla ismiya, starting by an ism. If it is jumla ismiya, I'm expecting to see mubtada, khabar, MBK, right? So Muhammadun is mubtada. Okay, imamun is khabar. So mubtada marfu, khabar marfu, and then fil masjidi is MBK, muta'alliqun bil khabar. This information is about the imam because the imam is in the masjid. Now, let's look at when kana comes into the play. It says kana Muhammadun imaman fil masjid. So kana, the whole of kana Muhammadun is mubtada, right? Kana Muhammadun is mubtada. If you say fil madi nafis, kana is accepted. You are just being more detailed. But generally, we say kana Muhammadun is the mubtada, imaman is the khabar, okay? And then fil masjid comes jar majrur MBK. When we put a harf to that, we say lan yakuna Muhammadun. So you see, Muhammadun is still maintained in the rafa status because it is mubtada, and then lan has done its work by making the yakun light. So everyone is doing his work. So you two do your work and understand, please. If you don't understand, maybe you ask a question. But this is very clear here that everyone is doing his job. I'm doing my lectures, and you are doing the understanding. Lan is doing its work here by making this light. Mubtada is in rafa status. This one is khabar because it has been affected by the kana, in this case yakun, right? And fi also affected is the masjid. Everybody is doing his work, right? But fil masjid is MBK still. Jar majrur MBK. The khabar in this case becomes nasb. The khabar is nasb, but the khabar here is rafa because there is nothing to cause its nasb, right? Good. Quran example again. كان الناس أمة واحدة. كان الناس أمة واحدة. كان في الماضي ناقص. This is الناس is the ism of kana. Both of them are mubtada. أمة is the khabar. Okay. Of course, wahidatan is the sifa to ummatan. So of course, ummatan wahidatan is the khabar. Don't forget that. But then you can also say ummatan khabar, wahidatan sifa. It's very easy. Okay. فأصبحوا في دارهم جاثمين. فأصبحوا في دارهم جاثمين. فا is عاطفة. أصبحوا في الماضي. Now is okay. Of course, it's madi because you can see that the nun has been dropped. Okay, fil madi naqis. The doer, or in this case, the ism of asbaha, or the ism of asbahu is what? Hum. The ism of the doer here is hum. But in this case, we say generally both the fi'l and the fa and the ism of asbaha, both of them are mubtada. But I don't want you to forget the ism of mubtada, even though here it's saying both of them are the mubtada, but don't forget the actual ism of asbaha is inside here. Okay? Asbahu hum. Fi dari, jar wa majrur, dari mudaf, and hum, sorry, him mudaf ilayhi. Fi dari him, not fi dari hum. Okay? Not fi dari hum. It is him, not hum, because the ra is having kisra. We mentioned this, right? When we mentioned the attached pronouns. When will the attached pronouns, who, he, huma, hima, whom, him? When is it whom and when it is him? It is him if it is preceded by kisra. It is whom if it is preceded by dhamma or fatha. Jatimina is khabar of asbahu. Okay? And here we have muqaddam and mu'akhar. I don't know if you understand this muqaddam and mu'akhar, but actually what it means here is that khabar is supposed to come before the MBK, right? And in this case, the khabar is delayed. And when it happens like that, you have to mention it. Don't do so you have to give it its right. You have to mention that there is a delay here of the khabar. The khabar of asbaha is supposed to come before the MBK. Normally khabar comes before MBK, but in this case there is the MBK before the khabar. But of course there is a balagha reason here. Okay, even though it's not the place for us to mention, but it is very important for us to note that in the language of Arabic, anytime we see taqdeem and ta'khir, there is something that Allah wants to emphasize on, and that is why such things happen. It don't just happen. Finally, here we have mubtada for what laysa dhakaru kal untha. So waw is atifa, laysa is fi'l madi naqis, and az-zakaru is ism of laysa. The whole of kal untha, because it's jar majrur, don't forget ka, bata, kala, wa, min, fi, an, ala, hatta, ila. So your ka is harf of jar. Untha ism majrurun, mana min zuhuri, majrurun bil kasra. Where is the kasra? Some of you will say the kasra is not there because mana min zuhuri hit ta'adhur. But we don't say all these, but we say that untha is majrur. Why is there not kasra there? Because this is non-flexible. Finish. Okay? It's non-flexible because of the at the end. Okay? And jar wa majrur here becomes the MBK, because hitherto is supposed to be the khabar. Mubtada the khabar. Mubtada and khabar are the key things you look for in jumla ismiya. But if you don't see the khabar, then you will have an MBK, and the MBK can either be jar wa majrur or zarf and mazruf, or what we call the special mudaf. We will stop here, and inshallah we'll come back and continue shortly. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وبه نستعين. You're all welcome once again. Okay. So ليكون للعالمين نذيرا. Okay. Salam. You have not given us the Arab of that. Okay, thank you very much for that. That's a good one. Let's go back and continue our discussion regarding kana and the sisters and how they come in the context of what we are learning. Now, let's look at this. Kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim. So this is a worked example, right, for you. So kuni is fi'l amr. You see, kuni fi'l amr naqis. You still have to mention naqis. Why? Because there is no fa'il. That is the meaning. That's the idea of it being naqis. The word naqis is from the word naqasa yanqusu naqsan fahuwa naqisun. Okay, this is the fail. Naqasa yanqusu naqsan fahuwa naqisun. Nuqisa yunqasu naqsan fahuwa manqusun. Inqus la tanqus. Manqasun, minqasun, and manqasatun. These are the possibilities of the word naqasa in the language. So naqisun is ism fa'il for the word naqasa. Okay, is to be less or to be deficient, if I can say. Yeah. Okay. Why is it naqis? We have explained. Okay. And ismuhu anta, which means the ism of the fi'l madi kuni is what? And sorry, not anta. Anti, kuni, anti. What would you be? Bardan wa salaman. Both of them are the khabar of kuni. Of course, this is atf and ma'tuf alayh. Bardan and salaman are the khabar of kuni, and they are all mansub in nasb status. And the sign of nasb here is what? The fatha. Sign of nasb cannot only be only nasb. Don't forget, sign of nasb depending on the number and gender of the word. Okay, it can be either like this, it can be aini, it can be ida, it can be atin. In fact, it can even be alif, right? We all learned this. You have to always bring these things back. Ala Ibrahim, jarun wa majrur muta'alliq bi khabar. Jarun majrur, this one is having jar. Somebody will say, well, jar, why is it fatha? Yes, this is the sign of jar because partly flexible isms, they have status of what? That's what we say. The status are it can be it can be and in rafa, in nasb, and in jar. Okay. Now let's look at the conjugation with fi'l mudari and madi for kana and its sisters, and that's how it comes. And of course, don't forget this table. You see this table? There are no tags here. There are no headings, but you know what these things are, and you know what these things are. This is singular, pair, plural, and then this is masculine, feminine. Sorry, these two are third person. These two are second person, and this one is what? First person. You remember that, right? Very good. And then the first line of the third person is for masculine. The second line is for feminine. The first line of the third person is also masculine, and the second line is feminine, while this is for both masculine and feminine. Don't forget this table. If you start teaching, please teach with this table. It makes it easy to comprehend. Some of you have already started teaching, and kudos to all of you who have already started teaching. Source out learners, please get them to sit down with you, even if you have to get them paid. Pay them and teach them. Believe me, it works, and I'm telling you out of experience. Get them seated, teach them, and you will discover the secret. Okay, you will discover the secret why it is called Quran, something that is repeatedly read. When you read and you teach others, others will read and they teach others. Others will read and teach others, and it continues like that, and you will be getting the reward accordingly. May Allah give us the understanding. So, kana huwa, kana huma, kanu hum, kanat here, kanata huma, kunna hunna, kunta anta, kuntuma antuma, kuntum antum, kunti anti, kuntuma antuma, kuntunna, antunna, kuntu, ana, and kunna, nahnu. So you remember, anytime fi'ils are mentioned, pronouns are key. If you don't remember your pronouns, huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna, ana, nahnu. Right? Same thing is here with the mudhari. Huwa yakunu, huma yakunani, hum yakununa, hiya takunu, huma takunani, hunna yakunna, anta takunu, antuma takunani, antum takununa, anti takunina, antuma takunani, antunna takunna, ana akunu, nahnu nakunu. Huwa huma hum, hiya huma hunna, anta antuma antum, anti antuma antunna, ana nahnu. Right? Singular, pair, plural, third person, second person, first person, masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine, masculine and feminine. Don't forget that, okay? So this is in case, well, you see, this is the Madi and this is the Mudari, right? But the Mudari, you remember, is of three types. Let's see how they manifest here. In the Nasb status of Fil Mudari, that is, if it is light, this is how it will become. I think I swapped it. Didn't I swap it? This was lightest. Excuse me. Let me do a quick one here. Yep. That's why it's good to have it editable, right? Forget. We will do these things later and you see how it works. Some of you who want to actively start the teaching, right? Good. So this is the Nasb status, or the light present tense, and this is the lightest present tense. The things that cause the light, we know. The things that cause the lightest, we know. Fil Mudari can always be normal if there is anything, sorry, if there is nothing to cause it either light or lightest. We need to know this, okay? Fil Mudari will always have u, or will be in rafa, okay, or will be marfu. Fil Mudari marfu, yakunu, takunu, ta'kulu, yazhabu, nazhabu, nadrusu, nata'allamu, and so on. But if it has a harf coming before it, that harf can only be harf of lightest or harf of light. If it is harf of light, it will cause it to be that. And if it's harf of lightest, it will cause it to be that. The huruf of light, what are they? You remember them, right? An, lan, izan, kay, likay, hatta. The harfs of lightest, in, lam, lamma, wal, fal, li. Don't forget that. It's only when they come that they will make it like this, and when they come also here, they will make it like that. Okay. Now, here we'll say an yakuna, an yakuna, an yakunu, an takuna, an takuna, an yakunna, an takuna, an takuna, an takunu, an takuni, an takuna, an takunna, an akuna, an nakuna. That's how it's conjugated, right? Here, in yakun, in yakuna, in yakunu, in takun, in takuna, in yakun, sorry, in yakunna, in takun, in takuna, in takunu, in takuni, in takuna, in takunna, in akun, in nakun. Interesting, right? You realize that in the jazm status, the waw here is dropped. Okay, very important. Then we look at the amr and nahi. Of course, because it's fi'l. Fi'l can be madi, mudari, amr and nahi. Right? In the, I think, subhanallah. So today is a swapping day, right? I swapped it again. This is just trying me live. Huh? Okay, don't worry. That's one of those things when you do some of these things in a hurry. Okay. Amr, when you want to say, of course, you see, why is the Amr and Nahi having short table? We told that, or we mentioned that in the case of Amr and Nahi, we are only dealing with the 6 pronouns. Anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna. Anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna. Because 1, you cannot command a third person. You cannot command yourself. So you can only command a second person. Isn't that interesting? So you can only command the second person, so masculine and feminine, of course, right? So anta kun is a command. You be. So kun is fil madi, fil amr naqis, And the ism of fi'l amr here is anta. Kuna antuma. Kunu antum. Kuni anti. Kuna antuma muannas, of course. Kunna antunna. Right? This is for kana in the command form. When you forbid, just put la. It's easy to forbid, right? Huh? Just put la there and make the fi'l lightest. So la takun, don't be you. La takuna, don't be both of you, masculine. La takunu, don't be all of you, masculine. La takuni, sorry, la takunu, right? La takuni, don't be you, singular, feminine. La takuna, don't be both of you, feminine, pair, right? La takunna, don't be all of you, feminine. That's how it goes. This kana and its sisters, kana is very, very important for us to note it because it happens or it occurs a lot in the Quran. That's why it has a very special treatment here. Then we take laysa special. Why do we specially take laysa? Because laysa can only be in Madi. There is not laysa yalisu, lis. No, there is nothing like that. There is nothing like yalisu and lis, okay? You can have only laysa, okay? Okay? So, and laysa for mu'annas and for muzakkar, no swapping here. Muzakkar here is laysa huwa, laysa huma, laysu hum, lasta anta, lastuma, antuma, lastum antum, lastu ana, lasna nahnu. Okay? Yeah? So, huwa, huma, hum. And then anta, antuma, antum, ana, nahnu. This for muzakkar. In the case where it is masculine. Feminine. Lasta, sorry, laysat here. Laysata huma, lasna hunna, lasti anti, lastuma antuma, lastunna antunna. Of course, if it is I, it's the same thing. Lastu and lasna. Okay? Lastu and lasna is the same thing for feminine here. Forget to put it here. Right? Good. So finally, we come to the second segment or second topic that we are going to talk about today, inshallah. And that is Mosul. We go for a short break and come back and talk about Asma al-Mousula and Sila and how they are labeled or how they are grammatically considered in the Quran. Stay on. Let's go for a short break and come back. Assalamu alaikum. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين. Assalamu alaikum, ya Sheikh. After the program, we need. Okay, we will see to that, Muhammad Augustine. Inshallah, inshallah. I mean, the purpose is for us to be able to make it easy for all to learn the subject, and so yes, why not? If I am to share with the slides with you, just make sure that when you are going to do your teachings, you need to create your own slides and own it, right? And this is how I was taught by my ustads. And inshallah, I would always like all to develop that tendency of making not always, quote unquote, taking the shortcuts, but working through the smarter way. And the smarter way is to go through all the process, you know, of becoming a very good facilitator, and learn the typings, learn the designing of your presentation, learn the presentation skills, learn all these things are very important. But unfortunately, is it that most of the time we would want to have it easy, right? Of course, I'm not saying you, Muhammad. What I'm saying is that let's all endeavor to go through how majority of the ulama went through to become very good in the fields that they master. And that is through learning hard, doing it or learning even deeper and farther than usual, because people will depend on you. Other people will like to look up on you. So most importantly, make it a duty on yourself to make it easy for others. And for that to happen, believe me, it cannot just happen. You need to close yourself somewhere, dig deeper, work out how to make it easier for others, and they will pick it also and keep on making it easy, because Allah has said that it is easy. Yassarna al-Quran. Quran is easy, but only for those who would be alerted, those who will understand the heads up and pick it from there. It will be easy for all of us, inshallah. Okay, so that's well noted, Muhammad Augustine, and thank you very much. And on behalf of all, and this request, inshallah, would be, I will just pack them and probably put them in a particular drive and share. Okay. Okay. Let's go back to our slides. I think we are here. Ism al-Mawsul. We have dealt with Ism al-Mawsul in their various ways. We have dealt with the sila, and we said the sila is the phrase or the statement that comes after Ism al-Mawsul. And sila means it is connected. Silat al-Mawsul means, you know, you can see the word sila and Mawsul. So sala, aw sala yusilu silatan fahuwa wasilun. Usila yusalu silatan fahuwa mawsulun. Sila tasil, mawsilun, mawsilun, mawsilatun. These are the different conjugations. When we come to sarf, you learn how to do all these things, and we call them the members of each and every word. You know, we are going to learn families in sarf, and we are going to learn members of the families. And that's where you get to know that you don't need to memorize vocabularies in Arabic. What you need to know is the rules that causes the words to be formed. Learn those rules, and you will be able to form words in Arabic that you do not know yourself, but it is an Arabic word, right? So inshallah, so this word, Silat al-Mawsul, we have mentioned it, and we get to see how they all manifest here. Okay, it's not very clear, but let's go. Ism al-Mawsul and Sila, Sila. Sorry. An Ism Mawsul is an ism that is incomplete also. Now note, this is also incomplete, but it is not called naqis. Somebody will say, can we say Silat al-Mawsul or Sila naqisa? No. That's the terminologies now need to be just understood. That's what we call it here. Mawsul means it has another part of it. Okay, every ism al-mawsul has another part of it. It's not complete. Because, for instance, if I say in Hausa, okay, not in Hausa. I'm saying Hausa. I also speak Yoruba, by the way, for those who want me to try the Yoruba. Maybe I should try trying my Yoruba small. When I say جاء الرجل الذي, جاء الرجل الذي, the moment I say الذي, I'm sure you should be asking الذي what? So you see, so it needs a sila. It needs a sila. It needs the end part of it. It needs a connection, a completion. That is the meaning of the sila. So الذي أكل الطعام. Oh, so akala. So you see, akala ta'ama is explaining or is giving information about allati. So anytime you see those words, allati, alladhani, alladhina, allati, allatani, allati, allai, or allawati, all these asma al-mawsula, they always have a sila. Okay. So here it says that it is incomplete and needs another part called the sila. That is a connector to complete the fragment. Note. They are calling it a fragment. Then somebody would ask, okay, Ustaz, why didn't you add it in the Ya Allah. That's all I was. The student will always ask questions. Of course, the intruding ones. Okay, so the fragment, why didn't you add it to the fragment? Oh, okay, then I will say, oh, I forgot. No, I didn't forget. Actually, I also asked this question to my Ustad that why is Sila and Mosul not a fragment? It's because you see, fragments are two words. Always, but Sila and Mosul are not. That is the answer I was able to deduce, right? Sila and Mosul can be one word and can be sentence. In fact, it can be a whole sentence, you know, explaining the allati, and that's why it cannot be a fragment. And fragment, we said, are two words, lesser than a sentence, but more than a word. But Mosul, Sila, can be a whole sentence, and that is why this particular kind of fragment is not part of the 5 fragments. And I hope it is clear. Right. Now, since the ism mawsul is an ism, that means it can be used as any other ism. You remember? What about ism? So the moment ism is mentioned, you just need to tell, okay, so it can also apply, the SNGT can apply to it. Yes, that's what it means, right? The status, number, gender type. The sila can be one word, and it can be fragment, and it can be an entire sentence. Okay? The ism al-mawsul and its sila are grammatically treated as one word. Now note this very important information. This is Arabic. You see that? So sila and mawsul are treated as one word or one concept. Note, they are treated as one word, which means if I say Ja'a ar-rajul, then I say Alladhi. So Alladhi is the same rajul. It's explaining the rajul, right? So that one is just describing the rajul, so it becomes sifa of ar-rajul. Okay? All the information sila in front of it, Alladhi akala at-ta'am wa shariba al-ma'a wa dakhala al-bawl, all those are sila of alladhi, and the whole of that is sifa to ar-rajul, because it's describing the rajul. So ism can be sifa as one word. So the whole of sila and its mawsul can also be sifa as one word, right? So that is, it can be mudaf ilay and so on. All the things that ism can be, it can also be. So grammatically, the sila is said to have status. Okay, sorry, it's said to have no status. Now note, la mahalla la min al-i'rab. A lot of the time we say this la mahalla la min al-i'rab, but we don't really comprehend the meaning or grasp it. Which means the statement that is in front of alladhi does not have a mahal. It is alladhi that has the mahal. So the alladhi is the sifa itself. So the rest will be sila. You do the i'rab fine in details, but then you will say it is silatul mawsul la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. What does la mahalla laha min al-i'rab means? It means in that particular statement, this sila is neither fa'il, it's neither maf'ul, is neither fi'l, is neither mubtada, is neither the khabar. So these are the mahallat al-i'rabiyya. So if a particular word is not falling under that, then we say la mahalla lahu, we say la mahalla lahu min al-i'rab. Okay? It doesn't mean you don't do the i'rab, but it doesn't sit on the main components of the sentence. Now, the ism mawsul, however, can be in any status itself. Okay, so the ism al-mawsul itself, okay, even though it is non-flexible, therefore its status will be labeled as fi mahal. So it will always be fi mahal. So alladhi, alladina, alladhi, allati is always given the i'rab of fi mahal. Why? Because it is non-flexible. All non-flexible isms, right? Like hada, hadani, haulai, all are also done or also given the i'rab of la mahal lahu. Okay, oh sorry, fi mahal, fi mahal, fi mahal, because hitherto you're supposed to see the u, a, e, or the ani, ina, ani, aini, aini, or the una, ina, ina, or atun, atin, atin. You don't see the sign. So we say it is fi mahal. It's sitting in the place of rafa or nasb or jar. Okay. Now these are the أسماء الموصولة الذي اللذان اللذين اللتي اللتان اللاتي أو اللائي or اللواتي, and then ma and man. Ma and man, very interesting words here. Ma and man, they are also أسماء الموصولة. You know, oh, why they are all having al, but this one is not having the al. So how can I know if it is this ma, if it is that man? You know, man istifham, we mentioned it. Ma also, we said it is half of lightest. Half of the negation, one of the negations, right? Negation halves. You remember? And also istifham, when I say ma, other, for instance, okay? But it is also, it can be ism al-mawsul, and it occurs a lot in the Quran. And then we say ma bi ma'na al-ladhi. Okay? Ma bi ma'na al-ladhi. This is that ma. Okay? And then man also bi ma'na al-ladhi. Okay? But this one is used for human and intelligible beings. This one is used for non-human. So it says here ma and man have additional meaning. For example, we have seen ma used for negation, and man may be used also as a question word or question tag. The meaning will be dependent on the context. So depending on the context, you will know if it is this ma al-mawsuliyah or man al-mawsuliyah, or if it is man istifhamiyah or ma istifhamiyah or ma nafiyah, and so on. Okay. Now, determining the status of the ism al-mawsul. Now, how do we determine the ism al-mawsul status? Ism al-mawsul. Now, when I say ism al-mawsul, you should know that the relative pronoun الذي اللذين الذي اللذان اللذين اللتي اللتان اللاتي or ma and man. Okay. Since the ism al-mawsul are generally non-flexible, the status can only be told based on context. So you cannot know what status is. You cannot know it is marfu, mansubun, or majroor. You just have to look at the context of the statement for you to know. We have to look at how the ism al-mawsul is used in a sentence to determine its status. Generally, we can use the following rules to determine the status of an ism. This is the general rule. Okay. We said fi mahall jar if it is a mudaf ilayhi, if it is after harf of jar, or if it is sifa of a jar word. Of course, these are the status where allazi or allati will become fi mahal jar. So we can always say, you don't say allati majrurun. No, you say fi mahal jar because it has harf of jar before that, or because it is mudaf ilayhi, or because it is a sifa to an ism that is majrur. You can also say fi mahal nasb if it is maf'ul bihi, if it comes after half of nasb, an, inna, anna, ka, anna, bi, anna, lakinna, layta, la'alla, or if it is a sifa for an ism that is in nasb status. Same thing. Fi mahal rafa if it is a fa'il, or if it is mubtada or khabar, or if there is no reason to say it is nasb or jar. I like this last bit. By default, isms are in rafa status. So if there is no reason for it to be nasb or jar, then it is rafa, right? So bi mahal rafa. It can also be rafa if it is the sifa of a rafa ism, of course. Okay. So these ones are very important. So anytime you see alladhi, alladhani, alladhina, allati, allatani, allati, the i'rab is fi mahal. either في محل رفع, في محل نصب, or في محل جر. And these are the status or the states in which it can become في محل جر. These are the states in which it can become في محل نصب, and these are the states in which it can become في محل الرفع. Let's look at some examples. Some examples from the Quran of the Ism al-Mawsul, the Sila, and the Sila. Okay, so the Silas are Ism al-Mawsul and the Sila are highlighted here. يقول الذين نصوه من قبل. يقول الذين نصوه من قبل. So you see, الذين نصوه من قبل. Have you seen that الذين here? And نصوه. So نصوه, the whole of نصوه من قبل is Sila. Okay? الصلة الموصول لا محل لها من الإعراب. Okay? What about the whole of الذين نصوه, also مقول القول? Sorry, this is not what they said. مقول القول is here. جاءت رسل ربنا, this is what they said, right? Or قد جاءت رسل ربنا. This is what they said. So this one will be مقول القول, rather. But الذين نصوه, the whole of this would be in the bucket of fa'il, because they are those who said. So this one will be fi mahal rafa, because it is the doer of this action. Fi mahal rafa, and this one sila la mahal laha min al-i'rab. Again, ahada alladhi ba'atha Allahu rasula. Okay, so ahada alladhi. This one is in rafa status, because it is instead of hada, and hada is mubtada. So this one is called badal. Okay, but it will be in the status of rafa, but there is nothing that causes nasb or jar. You remember we said an ism is always in rafa status if there is no any cause for it to become nasb or jar. Okay, so alladhi ba'atha fil madi. Of course, this one we forgot to say that this one is jumla fi'liya. Okay, that is the sila. This one is also jumla fi'liya, that is the sila. So you get to do the i'rab accordingly. Fi'l madi, and this is the fa'il of that, and this is the maf'ul of that. The whole of that jumla is silatul mawsul, la mahalla lahu min al-i'rab, or la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. This jumla has no mahal. Okay, it has no mahal means it is not the fa'il, it is not the maf'ul, it is not the mubtada, it's not the khabar. It is related only to that. Okay, good. Okay, so in that case, alladhi here will become explaining or giving us the idea settling the curiosity raised by this. So if this is the mubtada, then it is in rafa status khabar. Okay, هذا الذي بعث الله رسولا. Okay, وما عند الله, وما عند الله. So what is atifa? ما أي الذي عند الله. See, ما عند الله, ما عند الله خير للأبرار. Okay, so ma is ism al-mawsul, means alladhi, and it is in rafa status because it is mubtada. Okay, it is mubtada. عند الله is mudaf ilayhi. Okay, so ma عند الله, alladhi عند الله, alladhi عند الله. Okay, so this one is actually describing that. خير. So this is the khabar of ma. للأبرار جار مجرور MBK. قد أفلح المؤمنون الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون. الذين اسم الموصول. قد أفلح المؤمنون. These, the believers, أفلح. Certainly they have succeeded. So they are the ones being explained here. So this is the sifa of that, because it is explaining that. Okay, that's why it says that the word. Okay, so when it says, okay, so the i'rab is even written under it, right? Okay, so here it says fi mahal rafa, in the place of rafa, because it is sifa. So sifa to that, right? Good. Okay, so let's look at another one. Inna alladhina kafaru bi ayatina sawfa nuslihim nara. Sawfa nuslihim nara. Inna, the moment you see inna, you know it is one of the harfs of nasb. What does it cause on the allazina? It makes it mansub. Is it the nasb? No. Is it the sign of nasb? No. Don't make that mistake. This is non-flexible. It's mabni. It does not change. So the fatha there is not changeable. So you say fi mahal. It's still fi mahal nasb ismi inna. Then kafaru bi ayatina. You do the i'rab of this jumla fi'liya. Kafaru is fi'l madi and the dua is hum. Bi ayati jaru majrur mb f. Ayati mudaf na is mudaf ilayhi. But the whole of kafaru bi ayatina is sila lil mawsul la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. That we say. So most important thing is this one has a mahal. So that is what you identify as the ism of inna. But this statement here clarifies the alladina. Okay, so it's called sila, or the other part of alladina. Okay, alladina kafaru. So it's telling us how the who are the alladina are. Okay, سوف نصليهم نارا. Okay, and in this case it's في محل نصب because of the inna. Okay, الذين is في محل نصب because of the inna. So اسم inna مبني على الفتحة في محل نصب. That's what he said, or what you are used to saying, right? Now let's go to يخادعون الله والذين آمنوا. يخادعون الله والذين آمنوا. So والذين يخادعون, so they think to deceive Allah. So يخادعون الله. Wa is عاطفة. So the moment you see wa عاطفة, which means this الذين is ma'tuf ala the ism that is before it, right? Okay, so if this is in nasb, then this one will also be in nasb. That's why this one is fi mahal nasb maf'ul bihi, because it's talking about those people who think that they can deceive Allah and they can deceive those who believe. And al-amanu is fi'l madi, the dua is hum, and the jumla is silat al-mawsul la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. I hope the la mahalla laha min al-i'rab is understood, and fi mahal is also understood. So you know the difference between fi mahal and la mahal. Fi mahal, it has a mahal in the sentence, but this one la mahal, it has no mahal because it is actually connected to the one that has mahal. Okay, good. فاتقوا النار التي وقودها الناس والحجارة. So اللتي, so اتقوا النار, اتقوا النار, then اللتي, this one is describing the nar. So fear the fire whose fuel is men and stones. So you say that allati waquduha an-nas, the wal hijara, the whole of that is sila la mahalla laha min al-i'rab, but definitely you will do the i'rab in detail, right? If I ask you to don't cycle them, and when I say you should do the i'rab, you say start, but la mahalla laha min al-i'rab, it has no place in the i'rab, so leave it out. That is a grammatical terminology, but we don't leave it. We will do the detailed i'rab of waquduha mudaf mudaf ilayhi, waquduha an-nasu. Okay, an-nasu becomes, so this is mubtada and this is khabar, waquduha an-nasu. So you can see this is another jumla ismiya, and then this one is ma'tuf ala al-khabar, right? So the whole of this jumla waquduha an-nasu wal hijara is silat al-mawsul la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. So anytime you see la mahalla laha silat al-mawsul, you have to do the detailed i'rab, and then you will say la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. Okay. Another one here says قل قد جاءكم رسول من قد جاءكم رسل من قبلي بالبينات وبالذي قلتم. You see, وبي. The moment you see B, you know it has a job to do. Like bata kalawa min fi an ala hatta ila. So your bata kalawa, one of the ba is here. So ba is harf of jar. It will make this majroor. So jarun wa majroor, jarun wa majroor. Okay. So qultum is sila to alladhi, and alladhi is ismul mawsul mabniyun ala sukun fi mahal jar. Okay, so it's fi mahal jar, and then قلتم is the sila لا محل لها من الإعراب. Of course, you will also do the إعراب of قلتم. قلتم is فعل ماضي and the doer is أنتم. Okay. ذلك تأويل ذلك. You remember your ذلك, right? Even though it's not the place of discussion. ذلك تأويل. And ذلك اسم الإشارة, when it is preceded by an ism that has no alif and lam, then there is no fragment here. That is a sentence. Okay. تأويل ما. تأويل ما. So تأويل ما. This one is after of translation. You see, of that. Of. Anything after of is mudaf ilayhi. So this one is ma is here mudaf ilayhi, and lam tasdi alayhi sabra. Lam is half of lightest. Tasdi is fi'l mudari lightest. The doer is anta. Alayhi jar wa majrur. MBF. Ala, of course, half of jar. He majrur. Jar wa majrur. MBF. Sabran. Hal. Maf'ul hal. The whole of this jumla, right? Lam tasti' alayhi sabra becomes sila to ma bima'na alladhi. We always say ma bima'na alladhi. Always get used to this expression. Ma bima'na alladhi. Anytime you see ma in this context, right, as an ism, then it means alladhi. Okay? Let's look at this final one, I think. Okay. هدى للمتقين الذين. هدى للمتقين الذين. Again, هدى للمتقين الذين. So the whole of this, يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. Good. The whole of that, okay, is sila. لا محل لها من الإعراب. But you have to come and do the إعراب in detail for me, inshallah. So it's هدى للمتقين. Okay, هدى. This particular word is not mabni also. So note that it's mabni. So huda will be mubtada, lil muttaqin will be jar majrur, MBK. And then alladhi will be sifa to lil muttaqin. Then yu'minuna is fi'l mudara, and the dua is hum. Jar majrur bil ghaibi, jar majrur, MBF. Wa is atifa. You know, anytime you see atif, all what you have to think as that, okay, what did I do here? It's definitely you see yourself replicating the same thing. So yu'minuna or yuqimuna. Yuqimuna also becomes jumla fi'liya. Another jumla fi'liya, fi'l mudari', and the dua is hum. Salata is maf'ul bihi, the done to or the detail. Wa, another atifa. Mimma is min and ma, jar wa majrur. The ma here is the same ma mawsuliya. So this is ma mawsuliya, okay? Min al-ladhi. Okay, min jar wa majrur, another jar wa majrur, okay, NBF still to yaqum yuqimuna, wa mimma razaqnahum. So razaqna is another jumla fi'liya, razaqa, okay, razaqna fil madi, and the dua is na, lafz al-jalala, or the meaning of Allah here, lafz al-jalala, na, okay, razaqna, that we, Allah says, we sustained. Okay. Hum, maf'ul bihi. So fi'il fa'il maf'ul. Fi'il fa'il maf'ul. Yunfiquna is another jumla fi'liya. The dua is hum. So the whole of this jumla fi'liya, all of these one. You can just do the i'rab one after the other. Of course, there are fa'ils inside some of them, and they can be mubtada, khabar, and so on. But just because it is coming here to describe allazi, sorry, alladina, the whole of that is sifa, but la mahalla lahu min al-i'rab. Okay? The whole of this is sila, not sifa. The whole of this is sila to al-mawsul, la mahalla min al-i'rab, but allazi itself is the one with the mahal. Okay? And it's also sitting in the place of jar, because it is sifa to al-muttaqin. We'll go for a short break and come back and come and continue for our last with our last segment. Don't go away, still stay tuned. We'll come back very shortly. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. I have a very short time to do a lot of things, so let's go straight to okay. من وما الموصولية. I hope you can see my screen. I hope you can see my screen. Okay. What have I here? Khalifa. Khalifa, I wouldn't mind you. Okay. I'm left with like 20 pages, okay? so take a deep breath. Okay. Okay. Man and ma al-Mawsuliyah and how the i'rab is done. Let's look here. Look here. Man ma are very key words because they are very much recurring in the Quran. So take a look at the following ayat. Tu'allimani mimma 'ullimta rushda. Tu'allimani mimma. You see this. You remember we did mention that whenever min is attached to ma, the nun drops. In this case, ma here is ismul mawsul because it is preceded by min, right? Okay, very important. Amma la yus'alu amma yaf'alu wa hum yus'alun. Another ma here and an. Okay, so an ma jar majrur. Mimma is min and an. So man, min man, and ma can all be preceded by min or an or harf of jar in that manner. Okay, good. You notice that in what we have just shared, hold on a moment, please. In what we have just shared, the Asma al-Mawsula are man and ma. In the above ayah, they are all in the place of jar. That means they are fi mahal jar. So you don't say ma is majrur, okay? But they are fi mahal jar. Remember, when we first studied half of jar, we learned that min and an come before the word ma or man, then the nun is dropped, okay? And the two words are joined. You remember that? So min and ma becomes mimma, an and ma become anma, and an and man becomes anman, and min and man becomes mimman. Now that we recognize that, we know that mimma is really min and ma, since so now we have known that. So since min is a harf of jar, that means the ma is what? Majrur. So it comes fi mahal. So you don't say jar or majrur. Sorry, you don't say ma is majrur, but you say ma is fi mahal jar. Why fi mahal? Because it cannot show the jar, right? Good. These are some of the examples that have been worked on. Yu'allimani, sorry, yu'allimuna ma, sorry, ya'lamuna ma taf'alun. Ya'lamuna ma. Ya'lamuna alladhi taf'alun. That's what it means. So ya'lamuna is fi'l mudari and the dua is hum. Ma taf'aluna, the whole of that is maf'ul bihi, because that's what they know. Then you do the i'rab of ma separately, ism al-mawsul fi mahall nasb, and then taf'alun become the sila of ma, because ma is ism al-mawsul, and then the dua here in taf'aluna is antum, because of the ta and una. So ta and una is antum. Good. Another one here says tu'allimani mimma 'ullimta rushda. Min is harf of jar, right? That's jarrun. Okay, you can say jarrun. There's a difference between jarrun and jarrun. Jarrun is the status. Jarrun is the word in the status of jar. Sorry, it's the word that does the jar. Okay, and the jar is what is done. Okay, ma is ism al-mawsul fi mahall jar. Ullimta. Okay, ma ullimta. Ullimta rushda. The whole of this jumla is the sila of ma, because ma is ism al-mawsul. The ullimta, you do the i'rab of ullimta as fi'l madi majhul, because u'i. You remember the majhul, u'i. Okay, and then if there is fi'l madi majhul, then there has to be naibul fa'il, and the anta is naibul fa'il in this case because of the ta. Rushdan is maf'ul bihi, and it is in nasb status. Fattaqullaha allati waquduha an-nas wal hijara. Ittaqullaha sorry, ittaqun nar allati. So allati fa is harf of jar. Ittaqu is fi'l amr. The dua is antum. Ittaqu antum. An-nara is maf'ul bihi, and allati is اسم الموصول. اسم الموصول في محل نصب. Why is it في محل نصب? Because it is describing the النار, so it is sifa of النار, and if the nar is nasb, then allati will also be in nasb status, okay, because it's sifa to nar. وقودها الناس والحجارة, the whole of that is جملة اسمية صلة لا محل لها من الإعراب. Then وقود is مبتدا, and then وقود is مضاف, ها is مضاف إليه, and الناس والحجارة becomes خبر. Okay, that takes us now to the glossaries. Okay, gems about, or gems, no, not the glossary. Now we are going to look at a hadith. خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. You remember this hadith, right? خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. Okay. So how do we do the i'rab of خيركم? خيركم is مبتدا, and so خير is مضاف, and then the kum is مضاف إليه. Okay, في محل جر, of course. في محل جر مضاف إليه. kum is a pronoun, attached pronoun. Okay, من تعلم القرآن وعلمه, the whole of that is the خبر, and then you do separately the i'rab of من as اسم الموصول في محل رفع, right, because it is the خبر of خير. Okay, and then تعلم القرآن وعلمه is صلة لا محل له من الإعراب. تعلم is فعل ماضي, and then the doer is هو. القرآن is مفعول به, و is عاطفة, علمه مضاف مضاف إليه, but it is معطوف على القرآن. Okay, now we are going to look at ma, the kinds of ma that we have in Arabic. This one I would have wished you go and learn it yourself and go and read it. It's inside the second handout that I've given you, but just quickly for us to go through and see that ma can be istifhamiyya for question, nafiya for negation, mawsuliyya as a relative pronoun, okay, and ma can also be masdariyya. This very interesting one. It's not the time for us to discuss it, but it's very interesting in that wherever it comes, you have to convert the statements that comes after it into masdar. And for you to know masdar, it's not now, masdar will be in sarf, okay? And ma can also be ta'ajjubiyya. You go and learn this. I'm sure you are all teachers in your own places. And then ma can also be shartiyya, and ma can be ibhamiyya. When it becomes, you want to say something is mubham, okay? Which means the thing is obscure or it's not clear. It can be used like that also, okay? Man, what about man? Man can also be istifhamiyya, man can be mawsuliyya, man can be shartiyya, right? That is all that we have. So this is the glossary that I was talking about. These glossaries, you go also and learn them. These are the words that we have used so far in the studies. And I'm just saying bye-bye to this batch. I'm just giving you the glossaries. Go and look into them and look at the terminologies and how we use them in English and how we use them in this particular model of Nahw. Get used to how we pronounce them or we use them technically. So ism, of course, the definition, you will see the definition here, the fi'l, the harf, the adad, the mufrad, the muthanna, the jam'u, the mu'annas, thaqilun, muzakkar, i'rab, rafu, marfu'un, nasb, mansubun, jar, majroor, ma'rifa, nakira, asma' al-mawsula, damir, and dama'ir. All these ones we have learned, okay? Asqal, heavy, heaviest, okay? Babun, masdarun, mudafun, mawsufun, ism al-ishara, mubtada, munsarifun, ghayr munsarifun, mabni, mudafun ilayhi, sifa, musharun ilayhi, khabar. These are all terminologies that we use in Nahw, right? Fi'l amr, fi'l nahi, sulasi mujarrad, sulasi mazid. These ones are in sarf. It's good that it brought it here, but you just note it. Inshallah, if God permits, and next year we are to do sarf together, we'll see how interesting this subject is. With sarf is 5 days in super duper intensive, okay? So inshallah, that day will come for sarf. Fi'l madi, you can say madi or madin, okay? Maf'ulun bihi and maf'ul hal, maf'ul mutlaq, harf atf, فعل مضارع، فعل مضارع مرفوع، مضارع منصوب and مضارع مجزوم should be here. لا نافية للجنس, the absolute لا. We spoke about this, right? We said that if an ism comes after it, it is always light. مبني للمجهول, مبني, okay, say مبني للمجهول or مبني على المجهول. You can say both. اسم الموصول, صلة الموصول, فاعل or نائب الفاعل. Okay? فاعل and نائب الفاعل. And then حرف مشبه بالفعل. This one we have not treated it here, but it's a very, very important thing, particularly when we come to maybe sarf or advanced nahw. We see it. حرف ناصبة المضارع, فعل ناقص, we mentioned them. حرف جازمة المضارع, ضمير مستتر تقديره, we mentioned this. Sometimes we do this, some of these expressions, right? A hidden pronoun, which implication is, or whose implication is. We use this a lot of the time when we are doing the Arab in Arabic, but this is what it means, or this is how you can also term it when you are teaching with English content. Min za'ida. This means za'ida. We have not treated it, but it's also part of the terminologies that we can hear in Nahw. Damir muttasil. We mentioned that, attached pronouns. Ba za'ida. Ba can also be za'ida. Min can also be za'ida. These are huruf jar. Damir munfasil, independent pronouns. Shart, we mentioned shart, condition. Jawab shart, and then fi'l shart, jawab shart. You remember that? Fi mahal, we mentioned fi mahal, and that has to do with an ism. Whenever it is non-flexible and you want to make the i'rab, you have to say fi mahal, right? Tu'rabu i'rab. This one we have not used this expression, but it's something that you can use as a terminology when you want to say that a particular word is given the i'rab of something. Okay? For instance, لا نافية للجنس تؤرب إعراب إن وأخواتها. Okay? تؤرب إعراب. We have not used it, but it can come in advanced now. And then لا محل له or لا محل لها من الإعراب. This is also an expression that we have used. You have to go take these terminologies, look at how we do the expression of it in English, or how to explain it, or how to use it with the learners in English, so that it will help us in conveying the knowledge of Nahw easily to our learners. We'll stop here. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. We will all wait for our Edmudo. Let me look at the chat if there is anything for me to respond to. Else we will call it a day. Wa iyak shukran, Muhammad Gidado. Thank you, Muhammad Gidado. Okay, there is nothing to respond to here. So, inshallah, tomorrow, Jazakallah Ishaq. Tomorrow, inshallah, we would Khalifa, is it late for you? Okay. Wa iyaki, jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much, Osman. We didn't have practice today. We didn't have the video or the audio exercises today, but alhamdulillah, I hope we have all learned, and we just wrapped up actually our lessons. Tomorrow is going to be a highlight. Tomorrow I'm going to share, we'll do some exercises tomorrow, inshallah. Sorry, not tomorrow, on Monday. On Monday, we are going to do some exercises broadly, generally, that has to do with all that we have learned so far. And also we are going to share certain templates for us to look at the high level tables of what we have learned so far. That is all about the Nahw. This Nahw intensive, that's all it is. Tomorrow is Friday. Yes, Noura, sorry. I wanted to say Monday, not tomorrow. Yes. So Nahw is done for all of you, the ulama and the teachers and the heads of schools, and some of you who are also individuals. What we are saying is that this is how we have found a different way of teaching Nahw to make it easier. You might be asking yourself that, okay, is that all about Nahw? No, but at least these are the major things, right? Yeah, yes, Ibrahim, no, there is no class tomorrow. I'm not saying tomorrow, I'm saying Monday, sorry. Tomorrow is a slip of tongue, okay? So I mean Monday we are going to do our last but one day. And then on Tuesday, we are going to learn how to use the tools. Don't miss that day. That day is very important, even though I'm going to make it very fast because it needs you to practice a lot, but we will share how to use Zoom to teach and how to use certain tools provided by technology to design your slides, your presentation. And also I will share an Arabic typing software. I hope I will be able to share it and you'll be able to copy it for some of you who want to use Arabic. And also we'll share how to convert your keyboard to an Arabic compliant or enabled, as well as some other things that we might learn, very interesting things that we might learn on that particular day for teachers of Arabic using the technology. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. I wouldn't forget one of you really was so benevolent in donating a 2 terabyte hard disk actually for us when the issue of storage came up. And alhamdulillah, and we thank him so very much. One of our brothers who wouldn't want his name to be mentioned, we thank him for giving us that storage device for us to keep all our recordings and other things. We thank him so much, and we wish to see more of that to support. But we thank also all those who are making this possible, including yourself, who is participating or who are participating in this. But the commitment is that it is for us to also share the blessings with others. And that is the main target or the main intention of this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for all of us. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. And of course, thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.